It would seem that we already know a lot about space. However, the universe often likes to surprise us. And therefore, even in our solar system, there are still objects that you might not have suspected existed. Cruithne. Scientists began to assume the presence of a second moon back in 1846. Frederick Petty was the first to declare its presence. Cruithne. Scientists began to assume the presence of a second moon back in 1846. Frederick Petty was the first to declare its presence, which initially no one took seriously. And later, they even declared a fake software scientist. In his opinion, the presence of a second moon could explain the many inconsistencies that many astronomers have encountered. A century later, in 1986, the presence of this quasi-satellite was confirmed by British amateur astronomer Coldren. Then it turned out that Object 3753 Cruithne is an asteroid that makes a complete revolution around the Sun every 364 days. That is, it is in orbital resonance 1-to-1 with our planet. In other words, every year this 5-kilometer asteroid becomes part of the Earth system. Cruithne reaches its closest location relative to Earth in November. Then the distance to the Earth is about 12 million kilometers, which corresponds to 30 km from the Earth to the Moon. For an Earth observer, Cruithne has a so-called horseshoe orbit. In other words, it seems that the Cruithne is moving behind some point behind the course of the Earth. From a technical point of view, this asteroid cannot be called the Moon, since it approaches and moves away from the Earth every time, but the ideal orbital resonance with the planet allows it to stay close to the planet for many orbital periods. It is worth noting that after the discovery of Cruithne, several more asteroids were found moving in orbits resonant with the Earth. The hexagon of Saturn. We all know that Saturn has rings, but have you ever heard that this planet boasts unusual clouds? In the early 1980s, the Voyager spacecraft made an unexpected and surprising discovery, which was subsequently confirmed by the Cassini space probe. This confirmation showed that a giant storm with the shape of a hexagon is raging at the pole of Saturn. Each of the sides of the hexagon has a regular shape, and the storm itself is larger than the diameter of the Earth. According to scientists, the storm on Saturn. It has been going on for more than 40 years, which is even more surprising. Its rotation speed does not match the speed of movement of other clouds on the planet. In order to find out the cause of this hexagonal storm, scientists decided to conduct a laboratory experiment. The researchers placed a 30-liter bottle of water on a revolving table. She modeled Saturn's atmosphere and its usual rotation. Small rings rotating faster than the container were placed inside the cylinder. This generates vortices and jets, which the experimenters visualize using green paint. The faster the ring rotated, the larger the vortices became, causing the nearby stream to deviate from its circular shape. Thus, the authors of the experiment managed to obtain various shapes of ovals, triangles, squares, and, of course, the desired hexagon. Although this experiment did not tell scientists about how similar atmospheric currents can occur on Saturn, it showed why the entire system turns out to be so beautiful and, most importantly, so long-lasting. The mass of the newt is 99.5% of the total mass. All currently known moons of Neptune, as shown by the Voyager 2 spacecraft flying past Triton in 1989. Triton has a complex geological history, which is evidenced by cryovolcanism. Being slightly smaller than our own moon, Triton is the only large satellite of our solar system that moves in the opposite direction to the rotation of Neptune. In addition, Triton has enough gravity to maintain a thin atmosphere. This satellite reflects from 6 to 95% of the light that reaches it. For comparison, our moon is 11% light. Janus and Epimetheus. Saturn's moons Janus and Epimetheus are often called Siamese twins because the distance between their orbits is only about 5 kilometers, less than the radius of the satellites themselves. As a result, these satellites change places every 4 years. Epimetheus and Janus move in their orbits independently of each other until the satellite begins to catch up with the outer one. At the same time, under the influence of gravitational forces, Epimetheus is pushed into a higher orbit and Janus moves to a closer one to Saturn. This feature has confused scientists to some extent, who mistakenly mistook Janus for Epimetheus. In 1978, 12 years after the initial discovery of Janus, and possibly Epimetheus, scientists found out that they had actually been watching two satellites all this time, not one. In 1980, this opinion was confirmed by the Voyager spacecraft. According to the guesses of some scientists, Janus and Epimetheus were previously one whole, a larger satellite, which subsequently split into two halves and has since confused researchers more than once. Haumea, before receiving its official name, the dwarf planet. 13,618 Haum was known by the nickname Santa. She received it as a result of being discovered just after Christmas, on December 28, 2004. At first, scientists noted that finding out the exact size of a dwarf planet is a very difficult task. Due to the speed of its rotation, it has the highest rotation speed among the known objects of the solar system. A day on the planet lasts only about 3.9 hours. The speed of rotation at the same time was not the biggest problem for scientists in determining its size. Her form aroused more interest. Haumea, which consists of rock and ice and has a very low gravity, has a strongly elongated shape in order to hold it all together. As a result, it turned out that the distance between the poles of the dwarf planet is 996 kilometers. However, the length of its largest axis is 1,960 kilometers. Another interesting fact about the dwarf planet Haumea is that it has two moons, Hinako and Nama. It is very good for a cosmic body representing only 6% of the mass of the Moon, a satellite of our Earth. This is all, friends. Put your finger up and share the video, and also write in the comments which space object surprised you the most.